Two men started the same job, on the same day, same company, same salary, same city, same starting point. 30 years later, one retired comfortably at 63, the other was still working at 67. The difference wasn't intelligence, it wasn't luck, it wasn't family money. It was a single monthly payment, a payment so normal that most people never question it, a payment that millions of Americans make every month, without ever calculating what it is truly costing them, and by the time most people understand the price, it has already been paid. This is the Hidden Cost Files, where we open the files on everyday financial decisions that look harmless and calculate what they actually cost over a lifetime. Today, we are opening File 1, the car payment. Because what looks like a manageable monthly expense, something practically everyone around you is doing, can quietly become one of the largest wealth destroyers in a person's financial life. And once you see the math behind it, you cannot look at a car payment the same way again. In the spring of 2026, Marcus and David both accepted analyst positions at the same firm, in the same city. Their starting salary, $68,000 a year. Both were 25. Both were starting fresh. Both were beginning exactly the same financial life. For the first week, they carpooled to work together. Then, something changed. On the second Monday, Marcus pulled into the office parking lot in a brand new black Ford Explorer, leather interior, panoramic roof, large touchscreen display. His monthly payment, $767. Insurance added another $210. Marcus told himself it was justified. He had worked hard to get here, and nearly everyone in that parking lot drove something similar. It felt normal. David arrived 10 minutes later, in a silver 2021 Honda Civic. It had a small dent near the rear bumper. No one looked twice. He had paid cash for it, $14,500 saved over 2 years. His insurance, $89 a month. No payment, no debt, no attention. Standing in that parking lot, Marcus looked more successful. That is how these decisions usually appear in real time. One looks like progress, the other looks like settling, but appearances can be financially deceptive, and over the next 30 years, the gap between Marcus and David would quietly grow to over $1 million, most of it tracing back to one decision, made in a parking lot, on a Monday morning in 2026. Marcus's decision was not unusual, it was average, and that is exactly what makes it dangerous. According to recent auto lending data, the average new vehicle payment in America has climbed to approximately $767 per month. The average new vehicle price now sits near $49,000. That is roughly what many Americans once paid for a starter home. And to make the monthly payment feel manageable, many buyers are now stretching loans across 6 or even 7 years, 72 months, 84 months. That is the length of time some people spend in grade school, committed to a depreciating vehicle. An asset that loses value every single day. But here is the mechanism that makes this feel acceptable. Dealerships do not sell total cost, they sell monthly affordability. The question is never, how much will this vehicle cost you? The question is always, what monthly payment are you comfortable with? That framing is not accidental. The moment a buyer begins thinking in monthly payments instead of total cost, the real price disappears. A $49,000 vehicle can suddenly feel like a $767 decision, not because it is, but because the cost has been distributed thin enough to become psychologically invisible. That is where the trap begins. And that is where many people quietly trade long-term wealth for short-term appearance. Let us examine what Marcus actually signed. Vehicle price, $49,000 down payment, $5,000 amount financed, $44,000 loan term, 72 months interest rate, 6.7% monthly payment, approximately $767 at first glance for someone earning $68,000. It feels manageable. That is what makes it dangerous. The most expensive financial mistakes rarely feel catastrophic at the beginning. They feel reasonable, normal, earned, but the monthly payment is only the surface layer. To understand the real cost of this decision, we need to open the file further. Layer 1, Depreciation. The moment Marcus drove that Explorer off the lot, it began losing value. New vehicles typically lose 15 to 25% of their value within the first year alone. By year 5, many new vehicles have lost more than half their original purchase price. Marcus's $49,000 SUV, likely worth around $22,005 years later, approximately $27,000 in value. Simply gone. No investment, no return, pure loss, and he is still making payments on the original price. Layer 2, Interest. Over the life of a 72-month loan at 6.7%, Marcus paid approximately $10,000 in interest charges. That is $10,000 that purchased nothing tangible. It simply paid for the privilege of borrowing money to buy something that was simultaneously losing value. Layer 3, Insurance. Because the vehicle was financed, full coverage insurance was required by the lender. At $210 per month over 6 years, that is over $15,000. Layer 4, Ownership Costs. Tires, servicing, registration, repairs, conservatively, another $8,000 to $10,000 over the ownership period. The total, when every layer is added together, Marcus's vehicle likely cost well over $60,000, and not $1 of that built wealth. Not $1 grew, not $1 compounded. Every dollar flowed outward, to lenders, to insurers, to depreciation, to everyone except Marcus's future. That is the visible hidden cost, but it is not the most expensive part. This is where the file becomes genuinely uncomfortable, because this is where an ordinary monthly expense transforms into an extraordinary lifetime consequence. Marcus's total monthly vehicle cost: $767 payment, $210 insurance total, $977 per month. David's monthly cost: $89 insurance. Total $89 per month. The difference, $888 every single month. David did not spend that difference. He invested it. Nothing complicated, nothing exotic. A simple, automated monthly contribution into a low-cost index fund. Assume an average annual return of 8%, a historically conservative figure for a diversified index fund over long periods. Now, hold that investment for 30 years. That $888 per month becomes approximately $1.3 million. Let that sit for a moment. $1.3 million, not from a lucky investment, not from a startup. Not from an inheritance, from the gap between what two men chose to drive to the same job every morning. This is the number most people never see when they sign the financing contract. Because the contract shows the monthly payment, it does not show the future cost of every dollar that will never compound. That is the true hidden cost of File 1. If the numbers are this clear, why do intelligent, capable people keep signing these contracts? Because this was never really about transportation. It is about psychology. Cars are one of the most visible signals of financial status in modern life. No one sees your investment account. No one sees your net worth statement. No one sees what you declined to buy. But everyone sees your driveway. Everyone sees what you drive to work. Everyone sees what you arrive in. And humans are deeply wired to respond to visible social signals. The new vehicle creates an immediate psychological reward: validation. Recognition, a feeling of arrival. That reward is powerful, but it is temporary. Psychologists call this pattern hedonic adaptation. The excitement fades. What once felt thrilling becomes ordinary within weeks. The payment remains for years, so people repeat the cycle. New vehicle, temporary satisfaction. Adaptation, upgrade, repeat. Each cycle quietly extracting more future wealth, not because people are careless, but because the psychological cost of the decision is immediate and the financial cost is distant. The human brain is not wired to feel a consequence that arrives 30 years later. It is wired to feel the reward that arrives right now, and the finance industry, understands this perfectly. Here is where perception breaks completely from reality. People who appear wealthy often drive expensive finance vehicles. People who actually accumulate wealth often do not. Studies of high net worth individuals consistently show that the majority do not drive the most expensive vehicles in their income bracket, and many drive vehicles that would surprise you given their financial position. The pattern among wealth builders tends to follow 3 quiet rules. Rule 1. Buy used after major depreciation has occurred. Let the first owner absorb the steepest value loss. A well-maintained 3-year-old vehicle typically delivers most of the same utility at a fraction of the cost. Rule 2. Keep vehicles longer than feels comfortable. The most financially efficient vehicle is the paid-off one already in your garage. Once the payment disappears, that capital becomes available to build wealth. Rule 3. Redirect the payment to yourself. Instead of continuing a payment to a lender after the loan ends, redirect it, invest it, save it, let it compound. It is not glamorous, but glamour does not compound, patience does. Let us return to where we started. The year is now 2056. Marcus's Explorer is long gone, replaced by 2 or 3 successors, each financed, each depreciating. David's Civic was eventually replaced too, but with cash and kept until it stopped being practical. At 63, David filed his retirement paperwork. His investment account had grown to a number he had difficulty believing when he first saw it. He had not thought about car payments in years. At 67, Marcus was still in the office. His retirement account was smaller than he had expected. His fixed expenses were larger than he had planned. The math was tighter than it had any right to be. Given how hard he had worked, he was not poor, he was not destitute, he simply had less freedom than David. Less time, less flexibility. Less room. Not because he earned dramatically less. Not because he was less intelligent or less hardworking. Because he made one recurring decision, over and over across 3 decades, that quietly compounded. In the wrong direction. Standing in that parking lot in 2026, Marcus looked more successful. By 2056, the math told a completely different story. The next time you sit across from a salesperson and hear, "What monthly payment works for you?" pause, because that is not the real question. The real question is, what is this payment costing my future? Not this month, not this year, but 30 years from now, when the payment is long forgotten and the consequence has quietly arrived. Because every financial decision is a trade. The car payment trades future wealth for present appearance. The only difference between Marcus and David was not capability, not income, not opportunity. It was whether they could see the trade clearly when they made it. David could, Marcus could not. And over 30 years, that single difference in clarity was worth $1.3 million. This has been the Hidden Cost Files. File 1 is now closed. Some of the most expensive financial decisions are the ones society calls normal, and most people never calculate the real price until long after they have already paid it. The next file is already open.